Hello everyone, this is BB Sangme and today I am going to discuss about endurance limit, which is also called as the fatigue limit of the material. So do subscribe for the upcoming videos of machine design. So first of all, let us discuss about fatigue facts. Fatigue is important as it is the largest cause of failure in metals, estimated to comprise approximately 90% of all metallic failures. Polymers and ceramics are also susceptible to this type of failure. Here you can see the fatigue failure of the crankshaft and also fatigue failure of the bolt, how the metal or how the component is exactly fails in the fatigue manner. Fatigue is a form of failure that occurs in structures subjected to dynamic and fluctuating stresses. In the previous video we have already discussed about the dynamic and fluctuating stresses. Under these circumstances, it is possible for failure to occur at stress level considerably lower than the tensile or yield strength for a static load. It is the catastrophic and insidious, occurring very suddenly and without warning. Primary design criterion in rotating parts. Fatigue as a name for the phenomenon based on the notion of materials becomes tired and failing at a less than its normal strength. Cyclic strain or stress leads to fatigue failure. We have discussed in the previous video regarding the cyclic stress. Fatigue failure occurs in the metals and polymers but rarely in the ceramics. Also, it is an issue for the static parts like bridges. So here you can see the fatigue failure in bolt. Most applications of structural materials involve cyclic loading. Fatigue failure surfaces have three characteristic features: a near surface defect as the origin of the crack, striations corresponding to slow intermittent crack growth, dull, fibrous, brittle fracture surfaces. It is the cause of rapid growth of fatigue failure. Life of structural components generally limited by cyclic loading, not static strength. Most environmental factors shorten the life of component. These are the main causes of or the characteristics of fatigue. Here you can see the crack length exceeds a critical value at the applied stress. Here the initiation of crack starts and how the fatigue crack propagation occurs, or the how catastrophic rupture or failure occurs. Here you can see that. Stages of fatigue failure. First stage is initiation of micro crack due to cyclic plastic deformation. Second stage is progresses to macro crack that repeatedly opens and closes, creating bands called beach marks. Third stage is crack has propagated far enough that remaining material is insufficient to carry the load and failure will occur, or simple ultimate failure will occur. Here you can see the stages of fatigue failure. This is the example of fatigue fracture. This is the AISI 4320 drive shaft. Okay, so here you can see the keyway, and because of the keyway there is a stress concentration, and because of the stress concentration there is a fatigue failure. Actually the shafts are made of ductile material, but here you can see that there is a brittle kind of failure is there. These are the basic factors causing the fatigue failure. First is the maximum tensile stress of sufficient high value is the main reason of fatigue failure. A large amount of variation of or fluctuating in the applied stresses. When there will be a large amount of fluctuation in the applied stresses, there will be a possibility of failure of the component in the fatigue manner. A sufficiently large number of cycles of applied stresses. These are the three basic factors, and also some additional factors are there. Here you can see that stress concentration is one of that. Corrosion is there. Temperature, overloading, metallurgical, structural defects are there. Residual stresses are there, and combined stresses are there. So these are the basic reasons, and some additional factors which are the main causes of fatigue failure. Here you can see the images of fatigue failure of a crankshaft. Okay, so how the failure exactly occurs, and this is the fatigue failure because of the corrosion. So here now let us discuss about the endurance limit, or which is also called as the fatigue limit. The fatigue or endurance limit of a material is defined as the maximum amplitude of completely reversed stress that the standard specimen can sustain for unlimited number of cycles without fatigue failure. Okay, since the fatigue test cannot be conducted for unlimited or infinite number of cycles, it is practically impossible to conduct unlimited or infinite number of cycles. So 10⁶ cycles is considered as a sufficient number of cycles to define the endurance limit or fatigue limit. The fatigue life is defined as the number of stress cycles that the standard specimen can complete during the test before the appearance of first fatigue crack. Okay, so this sentence is very important. Okay, the fatigue life is defined as, it is actually defined as the number of stress cycles that the standard specimen can complete during the test before the appearance of the first fatigue crack. So here you can see the specimen which is used for the fatigue testing. Okay, during the fatigue testing, the specimen is carefully machined and polished. The final polishing is done in axial direction in order to avoid circumferential scratches. Okay, so here scratches are avoided to avoid the stress concentration and to get the accurate results. So proper polishing is done. In the laboratory, the endurance limit is determined by means of a rotating beam machine developed by R.R. Murray. R.R. Murray is a scientist who developed the machine which is used for the checking of endurance limit or fatigue limit of the material. The principle of rotating beam machine, here here you can see that how the rotating beam machine looks exactly. Okay, the principle of rotating beam machine includes it includes a beam of circular cross section which is subjected to bending moment MB. Here you can see that here you can see the beam of circular cross section which is subjected to bending moment MB. So here the upper half and lower half is subjected to you can see that upper half is subjected to tensile stress and lower half is subjected to compressive stress. Okay, so and at the axis the stress is 0, at the neutral axis the stress is 0. Okay, so here you can assume that the fibers which are present at the neutral axis, they are subjected to 0 bending moment, but the fibers at the extreme topmost position and extreme bottommost position, and the fibers at the topmost position are subjected to tensile stress and the fibers at the bottommost position are subjected to compressive stress. So here you can see that as the shaft starts to rotate, here you can see that this is the specimen which is rotated by means of an electric motor, and here there is a revolution counter which is going to count how many rotations the component is going to sustain, or it will be safe. Okay, or there will not be any kind of crack. Okay, so here you can see that as the component starts to rotate, the fibers are subjected to alternative type of stresses. Okay, so here let us consider a point A on the circumference of the shaft or of the beam. Okay, which is subjected to reversed stress cycle. Here you can see that the A1 is the initial position. After a rotation through 90 degree, here at the initially A1 and A3 both are subjected to 0 bending moment. You can see that they are along the neutral axis, but when the shaft rotates with 90 degree, A1 attains the new position A2, it will be subjected to, it will be the topmost point of the shaft, on the shaft it will be subjected to tensile type of load. Okay, after again a rotation of 90 degree, it is again subjected to 0 stress, and at an after again a rotation of 90 degree, or you can say that the complete rotation of 270 degree, it is subjected to compressive stress because it will be at the lowermost position. So this is the stress pattern. You can see that at 0 degree rotation, A1 is at 0 degree rotation, the stress will be 0. At an angle of 90 degree, the stress will be of a tensile manner. Okay, it will be maximum. At an angle of again 180 degree, it will be stress will be 0 for the point on the circumference or along the A1. at an angle of 180 degree, you can observe that the stress is 0. Again, for the angle of 90 degree, that is total 270 degree, the stress will be of a negative kind. Okay, it is again we can call it as it is the compressive stress. That is why I'm calling it as a negative stress. Okay, so at an angle of 270 degree, compressive stress is there. So this is the stress pattern for the component which is mounted in the rotary beam endurance limit testing machine. So the results of these tests are plotted by means of a SN curve. Here you can see that the SN curve is there. The SN curve is the actually graphical representation of stress amplitude SF versus the number of stress cycle. Here you can see that this is the stress amplitude SF, and these are the number of cycles for which the component is going to checked. Okay, so in practice the points are scattered in the figure. You can see that the points are scattered in the figure in actual practice. And average curve is drawn through these points in the SN diagram, which is also called as a Wöhler diagram, after August Wöhler, a German engineer who published this fatigue research. Okay, in 1870 the SN diagram is invented. Okay, so the SN diagram is actually a standard method of presenting the fatigue data. For ferrous materials like steel, SN curve becomes asymptotic at 10 raised to 6 cycles. Here you can see that at an angle of at 10 raised to 6 cycles the curve becomes horizontal. So in this machine you can see that the component or the material which is to be tested, the specimen of the material which is to be tested for the fatigue strength or for the endurance limit is mounted in this machine, and the load is applied. Okay, and the rotations are given. So it is actually started with the minimum load and with some minimum rotations, minimum RPM. Okay, and it is the observations are taken when the first crack appears for the particular type applied load and particular number of rotations. And according to that, here you can see that as the load is increasing, you can see that the number of cycles are reduced. Okay, and for particular 10 raised to 6 cycles, actually as the load decreases, you can see that the life of the component increases because of the whatever the applied amplitude of stress that is going to reduce because of the reduced type of load. Okay, so this is the actually figure for the ferrous materials like steel, and this is the SN curve for the ferrous material like steel. Here SF is the stress amplitude and N is the number of stress cycles. So these readings are used as two coordinate for plotting a point on SN diagram. So this point is called as actually these points are failure points, and these are called as the failure points. So which are used to determine the endurance limit of the material or a number of tests to be carried out. Okay, so the stress amplitude corresponding to infinite number of stress cycles. Here the magnitude of this stress amplitude is at 10 raised to 6 cycles. Here you can see that represents the endurance limit of the material. So 10 raised to 6 cycles is the endurance limit of the material. Okay, so the SN curve shown in this figure is valid only for the ferrous material. This is only valid for the ferrous material. For the non-ferrous materials like aluminum alloys, the SN curve slopes gradually even after 10 raised to 6 cycles. Okay, so for the non-ferrous materials the slope will not be horizontal. Okay, the line will not be horizontal after 10 raised to 6 cycles. For the non-ferrous metals it will be again gradually decreasing. Okay, so these materials do not actually the non-ferrous materials do not exhibit a distinct value of endurance limit. So you will not get the particular value of endurance limit for the non-ferrous material. Okay, so for these materials endurance limit stress is sometimes expressed as the function of number of stress cycles. Okay, so the endurance limit in a true sense, it is not exactly a property of material like ultimate tensile strength. Okay, ultimate tensile strength or yield strength. It is affected by factors such as the size of the component, shape of component. Again, the surface finish is also important because of whatever the scratches present on the surface, that can be the cause of stress concentration, and there will be a possibility of failure, premature failure we can call it as. Temperature is again considered. Okay, notch sensitivity is there. So many factors are affecting on the endurance limit. Okay, so that is why you will not get the exact value, like the ultimate tensile strength of the material. You will not get exact value of endurance limit. Okay, so here you can see that the alternative stress which is get induced for the every 180-degree rotation of component. Okay, so this is the cyclic type of load, which is the requirement of fatigue test. Okay, so next is, here we are going to discuss about the low cycle and high cycle fatigue. Okay, so here again there is one SN curve. You can see that in the figure. You can see that it is drawn from the 10⁻³ cycles on a log graph paper. So the complete SN curve from a 10⁻0 cycle to 10⁻8 cycle is shown in the figure. Actually the previous figure was for the 10⁻³ cycle, sorry. This is the figure for the 10⁻0 cycles to 10⁻8 cycles. The previous one was, this one is for the 10⁻³ cycles. Okay, so in this figure you can see that there are, so here in this curve you can see that there are two regions of this curve, namely first is the low cycle fatigue and second is the high cycle fatigue. Okay, so the difference between these two fatigue failure is because of when any fatigue failure occurs, the required stress cycles are less than 1000. In that case, that particular fatigue failure is called as a low cycle fatigue. And in case of when a number of cycles are more than 1000, that is 10⁻³, it is called as a high fatigue failure, or it is called as a high cycle fatigue failure. Okay, so there are a few examples there: failure of studs on a truck wheels, failure of set screws for locating gears on a shafts, or the failure of short lived devices such as the missiles are there. Okay, are the examples of, these are the basic examples of low cycle fatigue. And some machine components are there, such as springs are there, ball bearings are there, gears are there. Okay, so these are subjected to fluctuating stresses, and these are the examples of high cycle fatigue. Okay, so the low cycle fatigue involves plastic yielding or at a localized area of the component. Okay, there are some theories of low cycle fatigue. However, in many applications the designer simply ignore the fatigue effect when the number of stress cycles are less than 1000. Okay, but for the greater factor of safety which is used in account for this effect, such components are designed on the basis of ultimate tensile strength or yield strength, which is suitable for factor of safety. Components which are subjected to high cycle fatigue are designed on the basis of endurance limit, that is SN curve. Okay, in the previous slide we have seen the SN curve. This is also the SN curve. Okay, so again SN curve, Soderberg line, Gerber lines, or Goodman diagram are used in the design of such component. Okay, thank you.